who oppose this procedural vote that ultimately was broken by the Vice President of the United States. But of course, the administration, particularly the president, not too happy with them sort of bucking the party line here. Doug Wead on the pressure that can and often is applied to those who go astray. Doug, good to have you. We're told that Senator Murkowski, for example, got a call from someone at the Interior Department, I think the Interior Department Secretary, presumably reminding her about the funds that come from the federal government to Alaska. I don't know if it was that blatant, but what do you make of that?
Yeah, well, that's nothing new. I mean, LBJ, he was a master jawboning, it was called, and he was a bully. He would plead, he would harass, he would threaten, and many, Abraham Lincoln did. Many
Absolutely.
great presidents have.
Well, I'm glad you point that out, because this is not unique to this administration. I mean, Barack Obama was very good and effective at twisting arms when he needed to at crucial times. Bill Clinton, famous for it. LBJ in recent history, really famous. But I guess this is about how it's done, right? Sometimes they're subtle, sometimes not so much, right?
Not so much. And now I think Donald Trump's kind of once again channeling Andrew Jackson, who was at war with the media, at war with his own cabinet, and at war with his Senate. The Senate got so tired of him mouthing off that they censured him. And he was the first president that the Senate actually blocked one of his own cabinet officers, wouldn't approve it. And they did it to one of his ambassador appointments. That made Jackson mad. So he took that would-be ambassador onto the ticket with him when he ran for re-election, and he became the 8th president of the United States, Martin Van Buren. You just couldn't win with Andrew Jackson.
Amazing. You know, one of the things I ask, though, Doug, with this sort of stuff is that we're so startled, or some are, about Donald Trump and in your face, even his cabinet. And you mentioned this with Andrew Jackson with his own cabinet. But Andrew Jackson ended up having a pretty successful president. I think you'd agree with that. How do you think this one is going to go? I mean, it's a bumpy 6 months. I think that's an understatement. But how do you think it's going?
Yeah, I don't know, Neil. You know, Andrew Jackson landed on his feet. He had that war with his own cabinet. He started meeting with informal advisors in the back room of the White House, and it leaked. They even had leaks back then, and they called it the kitchen cabinet. They said, this is unconstitutional. This is outrageous. But every president has had a kitchen cabinet since. There's no guarantees here, and it didn't work eventually for Lyndon Johnson. He became isolated from the people. You can browbeat the Senate and the cabinet, but if you lose the people, you'll lose. Jackson hung on to the popular people. If Donald Trump can hang on to that base, maybe he can make it too.
And I think Abraham Lincoln was famous for saying the justified ends more or less, justify the means, right?
He had a tough time, Abraham Lincoln. He was dealing with a lot, and he was walking a high wire. He pushed right to the edge, constitutionally, but it was a tough time.
All right. Does it change votes in the end?
Yes, they can change votes. Those senators can act very brave, but they got to count their beads.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you mean that? Federal funding. All right, Doug Wead, you're the best, my friend. Thank you very much. Presidential historian extraordinaire, Doug Wead.